Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know who I am. It's going to be a super quick introduction. This is the Pluto video, and here is Christelle LeBlanc. And if you don't know who she is, where have you been? She is the Zeta collaborator who helped to bring the website to life, and that's the introduction over. Welcome, gorgeous. How are you doing?
I'm doing as well as could be expected, I guess, in the midst of the collapse of the 3D realm, or at least, uh, solid perception. There's nothing solid anymore, uh, and I'm sitting in front of this bank of windows, and everything kind of looks the same, but it's just like a dreamland. It's increasingly dreamlike every day, and my dreams get more and more solid feeling, so that there's a I get a bit of a shock sometimes, when you get into those deep dreams, and then you come out and you're like, what was that then? If that was a dream, and then what is this? Like, it's that kind of feeling all the time.
Does it feel like you're just plain up bilocating like all the time?
Yeah, well, it's like there is the dream version. Not all dreams are like this, but some dreams are like being in a more real place than reality. And I'm not really sure how to describe it, other than it taking a while to like work back into this reality, this consensus reality. It takes some time to just be like adjust back in.
Mm.
Even sometimes I remember my dreams, sometimes I don't. The subject matter could really be anything. It's almost like having, it's like a step before lucid dreaming. It's like having access to your conscious like problem solving mind in a dream, but not quite to the point where you're just like, oh, I'm lucid, I can do anything in this space.
Mm.
Which is fun, but I don't always get there.
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's a different texture
Mm.
in that place. I've had some, and I'm hearing it from most of my client base, to be honest. Chrissy, I'm having some super weird dreams. I wake up and I don't know if I'm in this reality or the dream place. And it takes me a minute to arrive. So there's definitely a contextual shift going on, which speaks to porosity, it speaks to the magnetic field, it speaks to gravity's effect on matter, dematerialization, transhumanism. There's some really big energies um, around, and I don't quite know where I am at the moment. You won't have heard it, guys, but when Crystal came on the call, I said my two sentences for today are I've gone off the reservation and I'm staring into the abyss. And I woke up this morning and I could have murdered somebody for no reason at all. Just and so can I take
I think, sorry, go ahead.
no, carry on.
I think part of that rage, and this, like, I've felt the same thing, not necessarily today, but it's like I was writing to somebody else earlier this morning, and I it's like being in a state of straight out conflict is like, it's kind of easier to deal with, you know, fight or die is easier than like sort of hanging out on the margins, like we are on the sort of like edge of society, waiting for things to happen, being too alienated to kind of participate. I mean, I'll speak for myself. And but you still gotta pay to live. You still gotta, do all these like super annoying things to participate in a world where you don't really want to be. You are here anyway for reasons
Prisoner.
that, yeah, even though you know that you're ultimately your own jailer,
Yeah.
having made decisions that you don't really understand.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. This is like a feeling without context because I love my life. I live a gorgeous life. And I'm going to speak to what I've triggered. I triggered this to open up. I've been dancing with Pluto for about, well, I think since we launched the website last March, with that first ingress. And yeah, it's wonderful. Can I speak into my notes?
Yes.
So what I've done is just kind of really heavily edited months of notes. My guidance was strip it back, Occam's razor. But one of my journeys was to invite the energy of Pluto to come in as a planet for me, to find where that is within my universal energy field. And a sphere of energy filled my belly space up. And then I was taken to this as a fusion point where light becomes matter, where joy seeds the world instead of greed and fear. And to birth that message, in 2 days' time, we have the Pluto Sun Cazimi. So that's when when Pluto and the Sun both move into Aquarius at 0 degrees. It's like a little kiss. Well, it's a big fat kiss, actually. So the sun is going to shine a light into the part of you that wants to grow, but that is most hidden, to go way beyond yourself and to challenge how you even see yourself. So many weird dreams. I'm going to bring in 2 of the dreams. So I think I'm unlocking a part of me that genuinely scares me. She's a bit frightening. So one of the dreams, I'm being verbally abused by a news reporter, and I've given him the name Fox News Reporter, that kind of denigrating, insulting, abusive news reporter. So I'm on a train and he's on the platform. The train is stationary. Instead of working to maintain my tranquility as he hurls abuse at me for what a freak I am through the window, I go to the Hades within me. And then somehow, using my hand, I dissolve the glass that's between us. And using nothing but my words, I destroyed the blood-sucking parasite. I went through all of his triggers and I plucked every single one of them and destroyed him just with words. So she's a bit scary. She's clearly coming online. And then there was another one where I was in a conversation with somebody and our differences came up, and the other couldn't meet my difference and then moved to competing and defending with phrases like, yes, but, or you've got to see that. So it's this kind of making energy, convincing energy. And I just grew tired of their need to convince me of something, and I walked away. As I observe myself in this, I'm given the words emulate or innovate. And this for me is Pluto in Aquarius. Emulate, follow the crowd, or innovate, be daring and bold and different, even if it's one word that's different in a sentence. The following 2 days were spent in and out of body sedation, like I'd been given a sedative. For 2 days, I could barely move. It was lovely, I got to say. And then I was given the words, finding the sedated part of the psyche, Pluto and the underworld.
Hmm.
The sedated part of the psyche. And then I've got a note here, Christelle, talk to me about the misanthrope. I want to go deep, fast.
Yeah. I mean, like I was talking to Greg yesterday about that kind of it's like having the ability to control and manipulate, but choosing not to. So uh and not getting, part of it is not getting being able to be manipulated um by this, you know, by the soft part, by the carrot. Not that, you know, anybody can resist the stick. It's not getting pulled around by other people's feelings and manipulated by empathy, because that's a bit, I don't know, like everybody's had that experience where, you know, the people who self-identify as empathic are always raging narcissists. Right? And it's these people who assume like a higher moral ground and and that they depend on people following social convention to keep them protected, right? If you're somebody who doesn't care about defying social convention and seeming rude or mean or cruel, even if you're not doing anything like that on purpose, but it's that perception. If you're afraid of being perceived in a negative light, then people can control you with that. It's, you know, being willing to be the bad guy or seem to be the bad guy. Because really, there is no bad guy. There is no good guy ever. There just is. And depending on your perspective, it could be either or both. So I think that the Plutonian, I've got cats meowing over here.
Yeah, no, sorry, I'm just getting my coffee.
Yeah. The not being locked into the good side or appearing to be the good one is part of what Pluto really is. Like Pluto is it's like the end of the circle where you start going back around the circle. So, or the spiral. It's like you are now in a space where really there is no morality. Morality is something that we construct along the path. We and, you know, other entities that exist between us and ultimate source. We make the rules. There are very, very, very few actual rules that are not invented by us. And so morality is both necessary for the development of consciousness, but also a trap that is used by both negative entities and good seeming people.
Yeah. And our obsession with leaning into the positivity of life is becoming comical to me.
Very toxic.
Yeah, is that a good thing? Who gives a fuck?
No.
It's the situation and the experience. There's the equation. The situation comes. How are you going to experience it? It's your choice. And then you have all the ancestral programming which reveals the truth of actually, I'd like to experience it as a raging narcissist. But society says, oh, you can't be that. Don't do that. Hide that under the veil. Be it, but hide it under a veil of kindness and giving and all that mushy buttercream. But how you experience it, transcendent of a human morality system, is entirely up to you. That's freedom. That is real freedom. It's amorality. And so when you take that and you know your field and you know your coding, my amorality won't let me go further than kill an insect. I can't kill an insect. I couldn't hurt an animal. I don't have that willful urge to hurt. And so that's my checkpoint, Charlie. And I don't cross that path until, and I think this is going to be a big question, because 2024 is demanding action. And where in society is it okay to bite back, to be fierce? So that I'm holding that as a healthy question and just noticing what's happening in my body with that, because we can lean into nice, and then we can make excuses for them, forgive them, they know not what they do. And I can't even with that. I can't even. For me, it keeps coming back to the same question. How do I want to respond to this? And on some days, I'm going to punch back, you fucker. And on some days, I'm going to engage and meet the difference and work in a creative way. That's the inconsistency. That's the impermeability. It's not, sorry, the impermanence of behavior. Where do we allow ourselves the freedom of impermanence of behavior? You and nice, yeah.
It's all impermanent. There is nothing here. There's nothing. All of this is nothing. It doesn't even, it like, you know, existence is such a, like, insubstantial. It's all totally insubstantial.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's part of the, it's like a large part of humanity cannot handle the truth that you are nothing, you have nothing, you are and also that being truly evil is as valid a path to source as being truly good. Like, that's scary. Yeah. Right? It's like these things, all the injustices and horrible things that happen on this planet are 100% legal in terms of God or source or whatever you want to call it.
And there is no law.
There is no law. We decide whether these things are acceptable. Absolutely. And, you know, of course, I have the opinion that there are some things that are should not be allowed. Yeah. Are absolutely unacceptable.
Yes.
But that is there's nothing to backing me up on that, right? There may be you know, other groups of people or galactics who are very, very firmly agree, but also the part of that the principle of positivity and negativity as basal orientations of one's being is that if you're not interested in controlling people, if you're not interested in moving up the negative path, you got to let people do what they want, even if it means destroying themselves and hurting other people.
Oh God, that speaks to every parent that's ever said, I just want them to be happy. And I remember challenging a parent saying, what if that's not their path? What if that's not what they've come here to explore? Happiness. And you're going to be imposing that paradigm on them.
Yes, some people want to explore the distortion of destroying themselves. And I'm sure if you've been around here any amount of time, you have had that experience. And I certainly have had lifetimes that ended in self-destruction. And like, is that good or bad? Yes, no, right? It's like, this is, for me personally, I have that now in my bank, in my arsenal of experiences. And now I make different choices and have a different perspective. But that doesn't mean that I get to take that away from somebody else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, completely. Um, I remember my years working with the military, and suicidal thoughts are common. And the first thing to ask is, what's your plan? Now, that to me is deeply compassionate. That is, I fully see you, man. I fully see you. What's your plan? And then they're able to navigate that sharp bend that they can't see around, that terrifies them. And so the movement to check out, because I can't look around that corner, comes in, and they can look around the corner. It's like permission to it's permission to entertain the thought. What's your plan? I haven't got one. Well, you need a plan. If you're going to check out, have a plan. How do you want it to go? Do you want it big and dramatic? Do you want it beautiful and tender? And this is the equation. How do you want to experience this moment as the architect of your own life?
Yeah. Yeah. And even acknowledging that there are good reasons for people to want to commit suicide. Even just the feelings that you have are like, and even if you have a relatively good life, that has, periods of happiness, I mean, maybe not everybody, but I certainly have had to reckon with the truth, the fact that there are times when if there was a door to leave that was presented to me, I would absolutely take it.
Yeah.
But it's like choosing to be here, even though you know that it would be easier to just check out. Like, there are times when that is just reality.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's like, I mean, 2020 was a bitch of a year for me. It was hideous. And I thought, and there was no drama with it. It was very clinical. It was like, I can't make this happen. What I need to achieve in this lifetime, what I want to achieve in this lifetime, I can't make this happen. I'm going to have a do around. And then my curiosity takes control, and 5-year-old steps in and goes, "Where's my toys?" And then I just push through. But what I get in that moment is absolutely touching. What if it's the end? So that's such a sweet spot for me.
Yeah. This is Pluto. What if it is the end now? What if I live just right here in the end of everything?
Absolutely. And I think I mean, this is my work in the world, and this video won't suit everybody, but I think I literally have Psyche, the asteroid Psyche at 29 Scorpio. I mean,
oh yeah, that'll do it.
I'm kissing death hard on the mouth. Like, my whole career is just like, I'm kissing death hard on the mouth. And I have no, you say death to a lot of people. There's that flinch, that body flinch, that thing I can't look at. But if you achieve nothing more in life than building a beautiful relationship with death, it could affect so much post-death. It could affect so much in wonderful ways when you reconcile your relationship with, isn't all of life just a steady death?
Slide towards death. Yeah. And I have a suspicion that the memories that we have that may not be memories that include subject matter, but emotional memories that we carry from past lives are the strongest ones are about death. How you died, how you reckoned with death in past lives. Maybe that's because I have Jupiter in the 12th house or something like that, that I have this these senses that come with me. And it's like, death and the period shortly thereafter can create indelible imprints on your soul or your spirit or whatever. And so like I have this almost memory of, you know, this moment after death that I caused, just like suddenly, you know, you wake up and it is like waking up from a dream and suddenly, oh, everything is clear. I've made a huge mistake.
Shit.
Right? But also that I am greatly relieved and that I came here again, right? So there's got to be some great, powerful, overarching reason to come back in here again. And I'm not entirely sure what they are, but they were compelling enough for me to keep going or go again, have another round.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm loving where this is going. I'm loving where this is going.
Yeah, Pluto is now coming for my ascendant. My ascendant is in early Aquarius. So after having Pluto in my 12th house for 15 years, now it's coming to my first house.
Wow. Holy Lord.
Yeah. So hold on to your butts.
Yeah, completely. I was studying how it affected my life. And what did I've only stumbled on this morning, and there was this huge out-breath. Pluto in Capricorn has been quincunx my North Node.
Interesting.
Yeah, for 15 years.
Yeah.
And that has forced me to navigate dynamic change and make courageous choices. And I am not who I was 15 years ago. And 15 years ago began with a car crash that should have killed me. Now, if that isn't a Pluto signature.
Hello.
And we're just going to take you out for a while, Chrissy. And I'm not sure I came, but I'm not actually convinced I didn't die. Because if you'd seen the car crash, it was a helicopter job, strapped to a spinal board, the whole lot. And when I got to the hospital, the ER doctor came in with his hands on his hips and he went, "How are you not dead?"
Mm-hmm.
And I sat up.
Maybe just a little dead.
I sat, just a little dead. And I said, "I'm charmed." And then everything changed. Everything changed. My whole life turned. And it's been the hardest 15 years of my life.
Mm.
And if I go to sidereal, all of that time, actually, Pluto was in Sagittarius from 05 to 20, actually. And both are true. And I just want to spend a couple of minutes on Pluto going into Aquarius is Western astrology. Pluto is actually 5 or 6 degrees Capricorn in true sidereal astrology. And it doesn't matter because both I just speak for myself. I can see both energies playing out. I can see something changing in the collective just through my work. And the Capricornian world is crumbling beneath my feet. And the word I got, after I made that last video, I got the word divestiture came in really loud and strong.
Love it.
Right, yeah. Divestiture, divesting ourselves of luggage and baggage. Of all of our baggage, of assets, of material possessions, of friends, relationships, jobs.
Hopes and dreams.
Hopes and dreams.
Delusions.
Absolutely. And then I got building something new without anything material to show for it. And I think that was my turning point in September. September ended September 2023, ended my 15 years work. So guys, Christelle came to spend some time in the UK last June, and oh my God, what a time we had. What the fuck happened? It was off the charts, mental. And so we went down to see, she spent some time with me. She spent some time in London, spent some time with me, and then I took her to see fellow mystic, my numerology teacher and good friend. And so we were down there, and I said to my mate, do us a favor. I said, can you do the numerology for Zeta and do my chart next to it, and then tell me what the disparity is, because I'm fighting something. I knew I was fighting something. And she said, it's persecution. So I worked on that from June to September. And in September, I just let go. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the doors blew off. And now I don't quite know what's hit me. This tsunami of clients, Zeta becoming the brand. And I never could have seen that coming, but I had to let go of this persecution, because I spoke to you about the only vision I had with working with Zeta Ophiuchi was that I'd be in a, I'd be, what was that word? One of my subscribers, anchoress, anchoress, bricked into a church for 15 years, copying freaking Bibles. I didn't want that life, but that life wasn't there anywhere. It was previous psyche imprint of a religious time, of horrible religious withholding, mean, cold, dark, suffering energy.
Well, you must have been quite a threat, a sort of a dangerous, female mystics throughout most of history. Like it's dangerous for you and for other people, right? So walling yourself, becoming an anchoress is like a safety, right? A safety and security to sort of follow a path at a time when any other form of life may not have been viable.
Yeah, from an isolated foundation, completely isolated. So that's what I was resisting, the isolation. But once I just let go of my want and my need, all of it, I have no want. I have no want and no need. I barely have desire. And I've never felt free. I've never felt so free in my life. It's like, meh, eh. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So yeah, 15 hard labor. It was hard labor. So yeah, now we have emulate or innovate, finding the sedated part of the psyche. This is going to be fascinating, and I'm so going there.
Well, it could be that is the only proper solution or antidote to the pulling apart of the human psyche that is happening now, right? It's like you choose one side or the other, but both sides fucking suck. And so the only antidote to that is like the Taoist Wu Wei, kind of like you're like a reed that just bends and doesn't move. You just stay in one spot and kind of avoid these traps, because it's almost like there is no way to know for sure what is good and what is evil, because they're both so intertwined. It's like the wheat and the tares growing. You have to let them grow to fruition, or otherwise you'll be ripping up both at the same time, because you cannot tell the difference until the end, the culmination. And so for me, all I can do is just like stay out of it. And because really I have no dogs in this fight. I don't care. Like, I don't care what happens ultimately. Like, the planet's going to be fine. As for everyone living on it, you know, nothing of value can ever really be lost. So whatever's being lost is clearly of no value.
Yeah. And so for me, that read bends this way and that brings goodness and goodness. There's a curiosity in me with integrity. It's like an integrity curiosity of, so my favorite words to say to myself is just give in. But that terrifies a lot of people. Just give in. And so when persecution came in to be met, and I built relationship with that, that's how I go. It took me 3 months to work through that because it's so historical. But to get to that point of embracing the futility, that's where I made the shift, is to embrace the futility of want and need, because that takes us down tributaries rather than a path, you know? And so for me, it's about, what if I embrace this? Because it's all energy. There's nothing real here. And there is no energy that doesn't respond well to curiosity and respect and love. And if my compass is always pointing north, so I know my limits, then there's nothing I can't explore. There's nothing that will come into my life that could in any way change me. And as stripped back as it gets. And so I guess in there, what I'm birthing is a level of fearlessness. What's the word? Because I don't even like the word fearless.
Untouchableness.
Untouchable, incorruptible. Incorruptible, which is how I see the soul. The soul is gold. Gold is incorruptible. You can bury the soul in 2,000 years of ancestral history and it will not corrode. When you get back to soul, there is nothing that can fundamentally change you because you're living in your blueprint. But the getting back to soul is the divestiture of esteem. And when esteem starts getting plucked and pinged and flicked, then you embrace the pissiness of what you perceive you are losing.
Yes. Which you've never had in the first place. It's all just smoke blowing up your ass.
Completely. Or you had it, but you never had it, you know?
Yeah.
It never lit you up. It never lit your fire, fed the soul. If everything we do feeds the soul, that's a world I want to live in. That is a world I want to live in. If it feeds the bottom line and the fat wallet of unhappiness and emptiness and vapidism, I have no interest. And whatever happens on earth, I'm like you, it's going to happen. That's not where my energy's going. My energy is going to get as close back to soul blueprint as possible. So I die a glorious death.
Yeah, I just have to be here. I don't have to like it or do anything to like further my own agenda. Because like it's like I don't even have enough information to have an agenda ultimately. Like the knowledge that I have is, not only is it not enough, it's also constantly in flux. Knowing anything is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just a game that I play to keep myself occupied.
Yes. Yeah, completely. And put some cards.
But I think that it's interesting, just going back to the sidereal versus traditional picture, because the past 15 years, Pluto in Capricorn in traditional astrology doesn't seem quite right, right? We had 15 years of just like an utter explosion in the proliferation of material. And material not as just in like hard stuff, but in like things that are immaterial masquerading as material.
Such as
like, think of all the things that we spend money on that are not actually material things, like, you know,
Netflix,
URLs, websites. Like, my entire job is making digital ephemera. Like, that's how I make money, making things that people pay money for that don't really exist outside of an energetic signature. But then again, does anything really exist outside of an energetic signature? And it's like, I mean, think of NFTs, right? Here is NFTs. It was like a craze that, in my opinion, ended in a couple of years ago. The idea that people would pay money for like a piece of digital art to own that as like a something that might increase in value and you can resell, right? It's like the idea that you should pay money to own something that isn't really real, or even, I mean, not that all our money isn't already fiat currency, but all types of crypto is, you know, it's selling an idea, and that's what people are buying.
Yes.
And that is, it's like, it's a sphere that came into being in Pluto and Capricorn, but it doesn't fit with really my idea of Pluto and Capricorn. It fits more with Pluto and Sagittarius, right? This far-reaching, fast-moving idea of like ephemeral, like stuff that doesn't require an anchor in any in like a real bank or a country or anything like that. And so the fact that in sidereal astrology we're moving into a period of the end of the material age seems to fit quite nicely.
Yes, it does.
And that like all of this fantasy is sort of like dropping out of the air like dust. You know, things are just turning to shit everywhere you look. I mean, that doesn't mean they weren't shit to begin with, but now we kind of all see.
Yeah, there was shit hidden under a veil of buttercream.
Yes. But when you lick through all the buttercream, it tastes like shit.
Yeah, because it's full of waste ingredients from the petrochemical industry.
Yes. And it's the end of the masquerade that like when we were talking about 2020, and you know, my initial reaction to it was like, you know, there was a day, I think it was a Friday the 13th in March, and must have been March 13th, where, you know, the lockdown started in my part of the world. I was like, awesome, this is it. This is the people are just like, this is gonna be just the end of the bullshit.
Yeah.
And here's the chance. Nope, not really. Turns out people really, really like going to the movie theater. I don't know.
Yeah.
Turns out that people really don't have a lot in their lives when they can't spend money out in the world.
Well, it's like I just all I can see is a fish hook, and it's like we're kind of sitting there, waiting for the next fish hook. Oh, over there. Yes, I want that. Next fish hook. Oh, over there. I want that. These things define me and they help me know who I am. No, you came in with that. That's all encoded. You just have to strip away
Yeah.
the Maya to get to
And
that.
I think part of it is not, having multiple generations of people who have never really had any real problems. Like, I've never been in a war. I've never had like food scarcity, never been bombed, right? Like for I'm an elder millennial, so it's like all of our problems are economic, but ultimately they're not really that bad. So it's like our form of self-expression comes through the curation of personal identity, which mostly involves buying things.
Yeah.
And so for that to be interrupted, caused stress to people.
Mm.
But it's also just like a huge failure of imagination in general. It's like I read once that like our penchant for like zombie apocalypse type of media is because it's easier to imagine the end of the world and like zombies eating people than it is to imagine the end of capitalism.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what does that even look like?
Yeah, it's easier to imagine because it's kind of taken out of our hands. Therefore, we don't have to be in any way responsible for that.
Yeah.
But if we step into this divestiture, and I was pondering this the other day about let's go works of art, and art is very subjective. And I can be quite clinical in the way I see things. And I'm like, but the intrinsic value is canvas, paint, frame. That's it. A bit of
The
time, if you want to throw that in.
the intrinsic value is what the artist got making it, which no one else can ever have.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Create without anything material to show for it. And it's like, I remember 15 years ago, when I started painting, and I stopped painting because I hit that block of, what can I turn this in? How can I market this? How can I sell this? How can I prostitute this out and place that heavy burden on it to be more than it is, an expression of my soul? How much more do I want in that? And we do that to art. We kill art. We layer and layer and layer burden and responsibility on it, forgetting that that's been generated from a very alive place, a very potent place. So yeah, it's coming down. I've also had a peep into 2025 and 6, and there's no going back. We've got
Finally, like we should, like if we could just all wake up and be like, yes, there is no going back. Let's not try.
yeah,
Like that is the single point of greatest frustration that I have existing in this world.
yeah,
It's just like they're like I don't want to like I embrace chaos because anything and like any change would be favorable to me. Positive, negative, whatever.
yeah,
Just some sort of mix up of the status quo, which is why I wasn't like 2020 COVID thing. Like, I don't care about the details, right? I just want a disruption.
Yeah. And I think the disruption is immaterial.
Yeah.
The disruption is in how the higher mind is coming in and rematrixing. So it's kind of, there's an awful lot happening under the surface. Change doesn't need to happen in the material. It's going to happen because that's falling away. We just need to let that go. Inherent change, the real change that's lasting, is coming home, is coming back home to self and making that soul connection that will guide everything if we just give in. Yeah, 2025, we have 4 major planets all changing sign. So
masculine signs.
yeah, Neptune goes into Aries, March.
That's gonna be weird.
That's going to be weird. Yeah. What did you say to me the other day? Be like having a bucket of cold water thrown over our heads.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, time to wake up, to go to your shitty job and take care of your shitty kids. Instead of, Neptune and Pisces is just like, you're in the deep water. You have beautiful dreams and you don't like, it's like a heroin binge.
Yeah.
Right? And then, but all your problems were still there. and they've actually gotten much worse.
Yeah, it's hard to manifest in that, but Neptune in Aries is like anything can happen there. I like that. I like that in it. I like that a lot. And then And then May we have Saturn goes into Aries.
Mm.
And then Jupiter goes into Gemini. And in May, and then in July, Uranus goes into Gemini. Ooh, higher mind. The revolutionary goes into Gemini. I'm going to put the notes away because I could get very distracted with those.
To me, that speaks to, at the very least, action, where there has been just limbo for so long. And, I think that is perhaps the best that the negative controllers can hope for right now, because in part, there are a lot of people on this earth now who I suspect they've sort of developed karmically beyond the point of having to be subject to physical violence. So, if that makes sense. So it's like there are lots of people, there are still people on the earth who, they, for whatever reason, have perhaps lived many lives of violence in the past, and so they're subject to violence now. But there are a growing amount of people on this planet who have not, right? They, World War II, I think, was the last blast of real widespread physical destruction. And, I could be wrong about this, but for many people on this planet, it's all spiritual and psychological warfare, because they've sort of come to a place where physical violence being asserted against them by some force would be not karmically balanced.
Yeah.
So they're subject to psychological, spiritual torture and not physical. So you have this this negative control force, however strong they are, that might be on the earth right now, you know, multiple negative forces that are always infighting. But it seems like there are still some form of rules going on here in the karmic domain. So we can't, a lot of people can't just be nuked off the earth, right? It's harder to deal with them because they have to be controlled through psychological means.
Mm. Mm.
And so it's becoming much more difficult for humans as a whole to be put down.
Yes. Yeah, I've got a sentence coming in that I forgot to write down. And it came in after those two dreams where I was challenged or verbally abused, was the realization there's nothing left to prove.
Yeah.
And that's the breakthrough point. When you've nothing left to prove, you can stand naked in the world and just be, just be. Yeah, nothing left to prove. Wow. So if you think about that in terms of Pluto in Aquarius, and indeed in terms of Pluto in Capricorn and divestiture, that could be a beautiful motivator for someone to just up sticks and drop the lot. Just drop the lot. What, you're giving them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing left to prove. I have nothing left.
And I think more people withdrawing their energy from a system that clearly does not serve them. Like, why would we have confidence in this system at all? Why would we put any effort that we don't need to put into it? And I think a lot of people are doing that. Are withdrawing.
Yeah.
I certainly, you're not getting anything from me except what you can extract by force through, taxes or cost of living or whatever. And even that begrudgingly. So the Moloch machine, doesn't have enough fuel to enlarge and keep growing. So it's sort of contracting and falling apart and coming off the rails in many ways. And that is divestiture on a global scale, which leads to a great mess, because we have we put all of our hopes and dreams into a way of being that is very unnatural for humanity.
Yeah, and the underbelly of that is that when the divestiture happens, what it reveals is the wounded self-esteem and the lack of self-worth. Self-worth sits beneath self-esteem. Self-esteem is how I want you to see me. So the job, the car, the house, all the material definitions. Under that is the self-worth, and this is where you do get back to that innocence and purity. Self-worth is in the higher heart. Touch that, live through that. So you're untouchable.
I mean, I think that so for some people, yes. For other people, that lack of self-worth is actually it's almost like a knowing of past bad choices where they, they debased themselves, they debased others, they destroyed their own self-worth.
Mm.
And it's almost like now there's this something that they have to reckon with within themselves. That is like, oh, this sense of having of being less than I should because I was less than I should be. And that transparency, it's hard to reach that point of transparency when you don't have any free time, and the free time you do have is sort of like locked into entertainment.
And
So it's like
productivity addiction.
Productivity addiction. Yeah. And so this is the spiritual and psychological warfare that many people in the developed world are up against.
Yeah.
He's going to rain bombs on your head, but your own memory of a soul journey unexamined is sort of like, it keeps coming for you and you keep pushing it away.
Yeah. And all, in your words, all warfare, there's a choice point. It's all a choice point. COVID was a choice point. It's all a choice point, and there will probably be another global event because there's too much of that depth work happening for control to be maintained, control of humanity to be maintained. There's this beautiful defiance, there's a beautiful curiosity that people are just turning away from the machine. The machine's like, oh, look over here. I've got another product for you. Do you want to queue up around the block for it?
It's like sick of it.
I'm sick of it. I'm literally sick of it. It's just this, it's like this fullness. It's like I can't get any more in my cup. And you're giving
Surfeit.
me, yeah.
That's a Shakespearean word, surfeit. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to empty my cup. Stop filling it up. Stop it. Yeah. So yeah, emptiness, divestiture. You want to pull some cards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a deck for myself too.
Did I get those out? I've got my dark decks out, and this is one
Good.
I hardly ever use this. And the underlying card is
Exclusions.
love the darkness.
Yes.
Love the darkness. Right, what have we got? Oh, these are good. Okay. Yeah, and that darkness is designed to trigger fear. It's designed to pull you in. And when we think about darkness, sometimes I make people flinch when I say the word darkness because they associate it with religious horror or just dark age. They associate it with the dark age. But darkness is the unknown. It is when you stare into the unknown and just follow that pulse with no clue as to where it's going to lead or how it's going to deface your personal identity, how it's going to strip you back to fool, make a fool of you. But with Pluto now coming in, and Pluto's got some amazing numbers, 21, 12, 3, which is all about, whose authority? Personal authority, or the authority that you follow. And so here we have an invite to transform the way you see. And again, it's coming in on 2 energy. So it wants to give you a choice. Stay traditional and see it traditionally, how you've seen it forever. Or just nudge the mind in a new direction. And don't expect that to feel sane, comfortable, all of those words, pacifying words. Expect it to feel a bit jarring, because you're going to take the mind.
Definitely.
Definitely a bit jarring, a lot jarring, because we don't fully know what we are yet. And mosaic, let chance play its creative role in your life. Turn that light down a bit.
Yes.
We have the shattering of the mask. Tearing down of the false identity, the tearing down of the idealized personality.
I'm using this sacred geometry deck, which I always pull out because it just gives totally out of left field kind of information or interpretation. So next one out is the octahedron, mediation and dispersal. So it's like the twilight space is neither light nor dark, and but also both at the same time. Mediation, like, we don't necessarily need to mediate between these forces, or between the the idea that you have, the shadow side and your bright side. Really, the whole point is the multiplicity of identity is all just bullshit. It's all just temporary perspective, because the default in the universe is the majority is darkness. But darkness just as a darkness not as a color or a sense of light and dark, but a space where we don't require external illumination. Right? We in the 3D world, we require external illumination to get anything done. But in the metaphysical, you don't need things to be lit for you. There is, you don't need to have contrast to see things clearly. And it's just a totally different paradigm that I find endlessly fascinating to just like trip my mind out trying to imagine, because it's not really, it's hard.
Yeah, and I think the disco pass to get to that, to stare into the abyss and be in that space, in that darkness, is that it cannot be perceived with the mundane senses.
Yeah.
And that's the disco pass, until folks have accessed their super senses, their extrasensory perception, where they're working through the metaphysical by sensing it, then access to twilight becomes, well, inevitable. I've been studying Pluto, and one of the little factoids I learned is where does its light come from? Because we can film it and photograph it. Where does its light come from? So its light is equivalent to twilight on Earth. That's its maximum light. It's twilight, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't need that that which we need.
Mm. And it has mountains, like 10,000 feet mountains.
And it's little.
It's amazing. I think it's amazing.
And then the other card that came out is Square and Diagonal, Generation and Consequences.
And stop pushing the envelope is what I get.
It's like there has been, like, we're existing within the myriad consequences of actions that no one remembers or understands. And it's like the continual proliferation of existence is like almost incomprehensible, because it's like a stone rolling that has been rolling for millions of years, subject to forces that we are not privy to and do not have the capacity to understand. But here we are, trying to, it's like when people who it's usually men who want to have lots of children for their own legacy, right? It's this idea that you're creating some sort of kingdom on Earth to your own DNA. Often these people have some religious background, but they're obsessed with the idea that God has told them to sort of establish themselves in the earth. It's this Genesis commandment from God, like control the earth and multiply, right? It's like, which is to me just fucking stupid. It's like that is to me the ultimate negative agenda put into words. The idea that you subdue the earth and generate creatures that will then subdue it further.
Wow, this is all new to me.
Yeah, right. You don't come from the Judeo-Christian background. Well, this is in Genesis. God tells Adam and Eve to basically, here's the earth, it's yours. Subdue it and create many humans, reproduce, multiply, work the earth. Whereas I think that that is totally contrary to the positive path, which in my opinion is something that leaves no trace on another entity. We have to live on the earth, and in the past you can see types of lifestyles where this is a nomadic people who, they carry their shelter with them. They move from place to place depending on the season. Their homes do not leave traces on the ground. They may hunt and fish and kill, but they use all the pieces of the animals that they hunt, and they leave the earth without this compulsion to leave a mark here. What is that compulsion? It's like, it's what it is control.
Or
This desperate desire to like keep and hold and control even after you're dead.
Or is it fear of being wiped off the face of the earth?
I mean, that's probably where it comes from. Like a fear of death and a desire to leave a mark on the earth must go together.
Build a monument in my honor.
Yeah. And if you have no fear of death, and if you know that death is a revolving door that you come in and out of, like taking clothes on and off, then you don't have this compulsion to cling. It's cling to a state of being on the earth that is unnatural. I think that's unnatural. I think that in my ideal future, there are no cities. There are no permanent structures. There's temporary housing that serves your immediate need. And when you leave that place, there's lots of with advanced technology, there could be many, many ways of having like perfectly good means of housing people without impacting the earth at all. We don't need to.
I just got this lovely vision of living life like a sand dune and just letting it collapse and then letting it take you as it reforms with no attachment or sense of belonging or claiming flag in the land. That, I mean, I find it comical that we think we own the land. That for me is hilarious. The pride of, in the
hubris.
Yeah, in the 3D, great thing to own a house, but it just doesn't apply. And I don't want to take anything from what a bloody achievement it is to actually secure property with money these days. I think it's an amazing achievement. But I laugh at myself. As I walk around the land, it's like, even if I bought this land, who am I going to buy this land from? Well, you'll probably go to the council, won't you? The local council or the Crown or some other big organization who already owns the land. And that takes me to, by the power vested in me, Prime Minister. I am the Prime Minister. Prime. So no one else can minister anything. You're the prime by the power vested in you. But people bow to that. And it's all going to come down in revelation after revelation, and the heartbreak of the energy that has fed the lie. It's going to take it's going to take some loving. It's going to take some loving back to life.
And there's a huge amount of energy that it takes to fight off the entropy of anything that's constructed. Like say you buy that piece of land, say you build something, you will spend the rest of your life, all of your time and money trying to maintain that so it doesn't break down. And it's just like,
it's
why?
absence. It's absent of a connection to source. We've lost connection to source with so much of what we've created because it's been created through fear and poverty and ego and greed and lust and want, the deadly sins. It hasn't been created from love, but we are, I look at our young people as flag bearers for the next wave, and they're coming in with so little karma, so little burying them down into the matter of the earth. And they are navigating this dichotomy of, am I a traditional human being or what am I? And so the little remnants of ancestral programming that hold them back, will pull them back into the traditional values and beliefs, which then sit in conflict with, actually, you don't have far to travel if you want to be a free spirit. You really don't have far to push. And they're so full of light. Oh my God. My God, I feel like a lump of coal by comparison. They are so full of light and porous. Wonderful, wonderful little Aquarian beings. Just, yeah, wonderful.
Well,
Like,
the old system has nothing for them. It's not offering them anything. They don't see themselves in it, and like, why should they?
yeah, and they're not enslaving themselves so willingly to the sausage machines of education, of learn a trade, of work until you die, then it's harder to pull them in to that.
Mm-hmm. Small mercies.
Yeah, right. Should we start closing this off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's have some final messages. I was going to formulate a question there, but they just felt so human and puny that I dropped it. Question Pluto. Okay.
Too many questions. There's all questions.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. Oh. Okay. 3 major arcana, and they are the moon, the devil, and the emperor.
Interesting.
So the moon. Confusion.
I love this.
This deck is amazing. This is like, it's okay to be confused. That's what this tells me. Keep wending your way. I don't know where I'm going. Keep wending your way. It's okay to be confused. What if I don't like it when I get there? Well, where's there? What is
Really.
what is there? Yeah, revelation, and we're approaching full moon in Leo towards the end of January. So Leo is on the other end of the axis, Aquarius, Leo. So there's a completing of something. Devil, make friends with. The devil can be as simple as a scurrilous thought, a naughty thought, a devilish thought. And allow it and play with the texture of it and play with the energy of it. And the devil is 15 energy. That's the choice point. If you just look at that 15 in astrology, that mid degree, you can push forward into maybe a new thought or a new behavior, or you can go backwards. 15 is the middle degree. It's the degree of spiritual alchemy. That's where you birth something new or you get swallowed by the devil.
What art is for.
So what art
Is for the exploration of the places that you don't really want to go, really. Like, you can still explore and learn things.
Beautiful. Now,
my 3 cards here are kind of correlates of your 3.
hold them up. Bring them in.
So the first one, balanced emotions.
Ah,
Second one, elixir of life that goes with the devil.
interesting. Yeah.
And then courage.
Oh, stop it. Wow. Yeah.
Which is, how to survive Pluto in Aquarius. Right? You got to settle down first into that in-between space.
Yep.
You got to find something to do while you're here. You got to explore the like the fucked upness of your situation, whatever it may be, and then hang in there.
Yeah.
And dare to go where you feel you need to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if your mask is made of gold, it's still a mask.
Yes. Masks all the way down.
Masks all the way down. I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get into your feelings, play with them, and have courage.
Sometimes it takes courage just to look there.
Yeah, completely. Wow. Pluto bringing it. So,
happy Pluto in Aquarius, everyone.
Yeah, happy Pluto in Aquarius, happy Cazimi. Be with it, be with exactly what is with you. Be with what is with you. And stay on the line, Christelle. I'm going to say goodbye now. I'm going to say thank you for being here. And I hope this is, well, I don't, because it was such good fun. It was such good fun. Do you want to say goodbye, Christelle?
I hope everyone enjoys a moment tomorrow or the next day, depending on your time zone, to appreciate the Sun-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. Because I don't have the mathematical knowledge to know how rare this is, but it seems very significant. In terms of a moment, whether you follow sidereal, whether you follow traditional astrology, there's something here that is very potent. So it's a moment, it's like a pivot moment. So take a moment to honor that when it happens. So thank you, and keep your stick on the ice.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, take care, everybody. Lots of love. Happy Cazimi, Pluto, and we'll see you again soon.